Well, it's time to wrap this broadcast up with the Alderson's Awards West postgame show. For trophies, awards, t-shirts, and so much more, go to aldersons.net for their full catalog. Thank you for joining us here for Thursday night edition Under Lights of high school football. Is Josh Kaiser alongside Marcus Sledge and Kerry Clark with us as well, where it was River Ridge hanging on to knock off the Capital Cougars 38-35 in what was a pretty tight contest most of the night, as Marcus is doing some quick tallies here, but we saw a little bit of everything. It was actually it was a little bit of everything, but it was the Hawks with a ground and pound. Ended up being a kind of a death of 1,000 paper cuts with the tempo and control, working the clock, and the Cougars doing what the Wazoo Cougars used to do with a little bit of an air raid offense, as the ground game was just not there, so looking to go through the air all night, and they had a fair amount of success with it, just ended up not being quite enough, as Ostrander ended up being really shut down for these Cougars, making them close to one-dimensional. And as he finishes his final count here, looking ahead for both sides, it's going to be the Capital Cougars. Going to be technically on the road. They're going to be here next week too, as they're going to be playing the North Thurston Rams, with that loss going to be falling to 3-3 overall, 2-1 in district play. And then for the River Ridge Hawks, they're going to improve to 4-2 overall, 2-1 in district play, and they will be taking a little bit longer of a trip up to Gig Harbor, where they will be playing the Peninsula Seahawks, a Battle of the Birds up there next week, as we're winding down. Only a couple weeks left in the season. It feels like it just started. And how we doing over there?
Got some numbers for you here for the second half.
I'm going to hand it over to Marcus.
All right, so we'll start with the losing team, the Capital Cougars here. So second half numbers, Redmond was 12 for 19 passing, 134 yards and 2 touchdowns. So big second half for Redmond. Had a couple of huge plays on the ground, had to keep some drives alive, keep the team in the game. Also had a 10-yard rushing touchdown. Capital Cougars rushing was non-existent this evening, 15 for 41 yards in the second half. That's a normal quarter for Ostrander, a small quarter for Ostrander. So they just couldn't get him going, couldn't find the rhythm, couldn't get the blocks out there for him to get him going. Now for our winners, the River Ridge Hawks tonight, they kept it on the ground. They pounded Capital all night long. Second half, only threw the ball 2 times for 2 completions and 23 yards. They rushed 23 times in the second half, 208 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. So great night on the ground for the Hawks there. Obvious what propelled them to this victory tonight was the legs of that 3-headed monster back there, just keeping that ball rolling.
No, it was too. It was kind of a pick your poison between Darian Harper had the big touchdown run. Hayden Jacquet had a touchdown run as well. This was a shorter variety, but he was running all over the place, as well as it was I believe it was Gonzalez was number 3 there, as I misplaced my roster. The runner number 3 was Ronaldo Gonzalez, the senior as well. So it was kind of whoever was back there was going to get the ball.
Yeah, and just for those guys to get loose like they did tonight, those big fellas in the trenches were working hard to open those holes, keep those corners sealed, giving them room to run to get 208 in the second half, and what was it in the first half? 126 in the first. So they went well over 300 yards, the Hawks did tonight.
No, it's a heck of a team effort. And without any further ado, how about it's time to name our game MVP in tonight's game, and it's being brought to you by Thorbeck's Wellness Centers. Strong today, stronger tomorrow, strongest together at Thorbeck's. Going to hand it off to you, as this was a relatively short conversation.
Yeah. So there was great players from both teams. Everyone had a great effort. But Hayden Jacquet, he's the guy of the night. He'll grab the MVP award. I don't have his exact numbers, but he was doing it all over for the Hawks on offense.
No, absolutely. And before we send this one off air tonight, any final thoughts here before we part ways?
It's a good game. We heard from the Hawks coach saying they wanted to see how they bounce back after that tough loss, and that's exactly what they did. They played some gritty football tonight and deserved that victory.
And, yeah, you're right. So they're going to try to keep the winning ways going next week, as we said. Making that trip up north against Peninsula, who's usually a challenge in themselves. And the Cougars are going to look to try to right the ship next week. They'll be back here at South Sound Stadium in 8 days to play North Thurston. Well, it's time. Wait, let me try that again. That puts a wrap on the Awards West post-game show. Again, our final score tonight was River Ridge 38, Capital 35. We'll see you next time right here on the Eli and NFHS Sports Networks. For Marcus Sledge, I'm Josh Kaiser. Kerry Clark here, too. Have a good night.